All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Greg, and as Alex already mentioned, I'm a founder of Growbots. Our goal is to create AI for sales, which means that we want to basically replace all of the salespeople that everyone hates with software that everybody will love. During this presentation, I will be not talking about my company, but rather about the strategy that helped us to build a global company in about a year. So I know that it was a long day, but it's really a time to wake up, because I will give you a recipe for building a global startup in a year, and it's really simple. You just have to follow all of the things that we did, and you will end up with the same result. Just one disclaimer, this strategy will only work if you are doing B2B startup. I have no fucking idea about B2C and how those companies grow and how do they even validate the product and the need for it. So my advice is build a B2B startup if you want to have some chance to succeed. This is how our company looked last year. So there was only me and my co-founder Luke, no team, no money, no product. We started in a basement here in Warsaw at Clockwork, but we really had this dream to build a global company that will reach $1 billion valuation at some point and to disrupt sales industry. And we have a plan. We had the plan that helped us to grow a bit. So after a year, we are almost 20 people right now. We are close to 30 million zlotys valuation. We already have investors, and we launched our product. So how we did it? This is more or less the plan that we followed to become a global company. So to become a global company, you basically have to reach two milestones. The first milestone is to get international customers, and the second one is to get international investors. Why did we put some kind of deadlines on each stage? Because I believe that if you don't have any plan, if you don't have any deadlines, you'll just spend too much time on each thing. So you need to have really clear next steps and deadlines for each of the stage. So during this presentation, I will focus on finding the right idea, validating it, getting some early traction, and applying to accelerator. We are right now at the stage of raising our seed round, so hopefully in a year I'll tell you more about how to raise a seed round and scale a company. To start, you really need a big idea. And by the big idea, I don't mean that you want to cure cancer or create AI. It is like a very fancy high-level pitch for your company, but it has to be backed by the numbers. So the first thing every investor will ask you is, can this company become a 1 billion enterprise at some point? If it have no chance, so the market is too slow to grow that big, you just, save yourself time, because you'll spend 4 years on building something that will not get huge at any point. Then investors will not be so eager to invest in it. So first thing is that you have to make sure that you can make about $100 million in revenue each year to get this 1 billion valuation. And it means that the market have to be bigger than this 100 million, and because there have to be some space for your competitors. So first things first, make sure that you really have a big idea. And then you have to validate your product. By the product validation, I understand sales, because there is no better validation for anything than people wanting to pay for what you are doing. And from my experience, if you have problems with selling your idea to people, so not having a product, but offering some kind of pre-orders or a service instead of a product, there is a really low chance that somebody will buy your product when it's ready. So We started sales automation company without having any software. We were just selling the effect of the software that we wanted to build, so potential customers. We were just generating potential customers for our customers and charging them for that. If you want to start, I don't know, Facebook ads optimization company that will have this super fancy software doing that, just start from optimizing Facebook ads for your customers. If you want to build some UX software, just start with providing your customers with some UX audits. That's it. It will help you to really validate if there is a recurring revenue in what you want to do. So at Growbots, we basically started validating the idea by getting some traction and customers. And this is the most interesting part that I'll talk the most about. So how to get those first customers, and I mean international customers. It's kind of easy to get customers in Poland because you already have some friends, some people know you, you can get referrals. But getting early traction in Poland basically doesn't help you to raise any money out of Poland because for US investors, Marvin can confirm it, like the traction from Poland doesn't mean anything. They don't know where the fuck Poland is. And you have to prove yourself on their own ground. So a lot of Polish companies are trapped in this Polish market, and they really have troubles to exit Polish market. So it's better to start from international customers from the very beginning. The other problem is that if you don't have any customers, it's hard to get the first customer, because every time you talk to someone, he's asking about references, testimonials, case studies, and you have nothing. So while creating a list of potential customers and just sending them emails and trying to sell is kind of easy, then you will end up selling nothing because you have no verification. So the smarter way to do that is to start with content marketing, because if you can write some smart piece of content selling your knowledge, you get a bit more validation in the eyes of potential customers. But here the problem is that creating a new blog and getting some solid lead stream out of it really takes time. So what I would suggest doing, and this is exactly what we did, is to create a blog, write some good posts, and then reach out to some influencers that already have well-known blog. And being featured on this kind of blog will give you validation in the eyes of the potential customers, and having those first customers, you can refer to them while doing some outbound outreach and, for example, sending cold emails or outreaching people on Twitter. I will cover all of those strategies in a second. So, as I mentioned, we started with creating a blog. We wrote about 3 articles, and then we started outreaching to influencers to get some attention. As you can see, we have no fucking idea about sending any sales emails. We did all of the mistakes that you can possibly make. So it definitely doesn't look like I've sent this email myself, because it says that it was sent by Luke. On my behalf, it's fucking copy-pasted from the notepad with a different font than you use at Gmail, and it have this super lame call to action. Feel free to share it if you like it. It's super lame, but still it worked out. This exact email gave us a guest post at Kissmetrics. So it was the best validation of the strategy. Of course, we got a lot of negative responses as well. Ivan Kirgin got really pissed off that we are spamming him. Playa from Conversion XL said our blog post is a horse shit. But it doesn't really matter. You shouldn't really care about this kind of opinions, because it works. If you think that just sending an email is not enough to get in front of the guy you really want to start a relation with, or you are too afraid that you'll fuck up like some really important contact, you can be a bit more creative. So, for example, when we wanted to get in front of Lincoln Murphy, we discovered that this guy only follows 20-something people on Twitter. So what we did was trying to get as many follows from those people start some relations with these guys who he is following. And then we basically started sharing our content with him, with those guys, hoping that because Lincoln only see posts from a few people, he will soon or later visit our blog and we will have some interaction. So it really worked out. He saw one of our articles, he even shared a comment on the article. So we had some, good excuse to start the conversation. So after he shared a comment, I basically emailed him the unpublished part of the trick. So a little script that helps to automate emails in this occasion. And he was very pleased. He was saying thank you. So that was a great introduction to come back to him after about a month and say something like, man, I just wrote a blog post. I think it will be ideal for your blog. What you think? And of course, he was super excited to post it. So this very blog post helped us to get the early traction for Growbots because, as I mentioned, we didn't have any customers. Everybody was asking about case studies, numbers. We had nothing. So we need some different. So we need a different kind of validation here. And from this post, we got the first day 3 new customers. Altogether, we got 5 customers, which doesn't sound that impressive, but each of those customers was worth about 3,000 USD for us. So we basically jumped from 0 to 15K of monthly recurring revenue in just a few days, thanks to Lincoln. And that is not the end of the story because we really had this like a nice conversation. He started mentioning us in his other blog post. Here he mentioned us among our top competitors, and the other companies mentioned here as lead generation providers are the first company that really started doing it, and Carburetor is the company of Aaron Ross, who wrote the book Predictable Revenue. So those are really high-level companies, and we are among them. And this is still not the end, because we really got friends with Lincoln. I had a lunch with him like 2 weeks ago, and we basically wrote another blog post that was published yesterday. So here is the strategy. Start from writing great content, then reach out to at least 100 influencers. Try to focus on the most important ones, publish a blog post on their blogs, and generate leads. Having those initial customers, we could start doing some outbound sales. And we didn't start with emails because we thought it's kind of too spammy. So we started from selling to people on Twitter. And selling on Twitter is kind of easy, and you don't even have to sell. You just focus on the group of people that you know are a perfect fit for what you are doing, and start talking with them. So here is an example how we landed our first outbound customer, Chris Hexton from GetVero, very cool guy. I basically just retweeted one of his blog posts, and that was it. We just started talking. He checked my bio, and he saw what I'm doing. He was interested, and we closed the deal here. So if you make a list of really highly targeted people, you basically just have to talk with them, engage into the discussions. Sooner or later, they will check what you are doing and contact you if they're interested. So we got a few customers without even pitching the product to them from Twitter. Of course, this strategy costs you a lot of time, and this is why you have to switch to some kind of like cold mailing at some point, because it gives you the scale. So right now we are mostly focused on sending cold emails. We tested like shitloads of different copies or call to actions. This is just one of the examples of the conversation that we started last year, and we closed this customer last week, for example. So sometimes it takes time. You have to be persistent with cold mailing, and you should never give up on sending your emails until you really hear a clear no. So be annoying, be persistent. Your job is not to make friends with everyone. you just have to close as many deals with the potential customers as possible. Selling is one part, but delivering, it's super important. So if you are good at selling, but your product sucks, you'll not get any kind of traction, because all of the people that you land as a customers will just go away after a month or so. So Chris, in fact, tested a few other lead generation companies, and he was really surprised that we really deliver what we promised. So it was kind of easy to get like some testimonials out of him. And testimonials and referrals are super important for your business. So just to give you an example, I've met Chris for the first time in person during the SaaStr conference a few months ago, and he was basically going with me through the conference and pitching my company to all of the people we talked with. So this is a perfect example of how the referrals of satisfied customers work for you. So this is the summary of this outbound outreach strategy. Make a list of ideal customers, try to follow at least 100 of them on Twitter, and start those interactions to slowly convert them into customers. Then when you switch to outbound sales, try to send emails to at least 100 people a week so you can get scale, and then ask for referrals from your current customers. All right, so we were at the point that we had some initial customers. We were working with more than 15 different customers. We were building our product, and then we decided to go to the accelerator, even if we had some revenue, and even if we had some investments opportunities from the VC funds. Why we did it? Because when you want to move to Silicon Valley, you really need to build up your network, and the accelerators are the best place to extend your network. So in Silicon Valley, different kind of introductions you can make to people and people can make for you are kind of a currency. So the more of those intros you can get from your network, the better it is for your business. So this was the first main reason for us to join the accelerator. The second one was that we needed some kind of validation in the eyes of future US investors. Because we were just, a random Polish company, even if we had international traction, then we were based in Poland, and it's kind of nowhere. I heard it very many times while talking to people that, they were saying something, in the third world countries like Poland, and I was like, what the fuck, guys? But it's still their perceptions. So you need this kind of validation to get in front of investors, and I believe that being at 500 startups really helped us to talk with the people that we are talking to. So the other reason is that still after running your company for a few months, getting some sales, you know shit about building a solid business, and those guys will really make sure that you understand it and understand like how little you know. So Marvin sitting here called me an idiot probably hundreds of times, and this is really helping you to develop as a founder. So I'm super glad that I joined 500 Startups because it helped me to develop myself as a founder a lot. So you have a different kind of startup accelerators. Those are probably like 3 best ones. I believe that all of them have their advantages, and you cannot say which one is best. Definitely 500 Startups is best for international companies that have to build up their network and that they are B2B companies. Y Combinator might be a bit better for B2C companies seeking a lot of media attention and fame. So you just have to choose wisely the best accelerator for you, because there is nothing like the best universal accelerator. I don't know nothing about Techstars, but when I was only mentioning 500 startups and Y Combinator, some people were saying I should also mention them, so I'm mentioning them. All right, I think this is pretty much it. I will be glad to answer any questions, and I have a really small request for you guys. We are in the middle of raising our seed round, so I would really appreciate if you can follow us on Angel, because it will help us to get some attention. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. As you can see, I'm not Alex, I don't have a hack, I'm the other guy. I have to keep track on time because we're running a word, so I'm going to allow one question from the crowd. If anyone wants to ask him a question now, raise your hands or be forever forgiven. Oh, here you go. One question. Thank you.
Hey, you mentioned some of the hacks that you used to target people. Can you explain a bit more kind of your process of iteration and coming up with them and so on? Because they take a lot of time. They may seem that they just work, but there's just a lot of time-consuming things you have to do. If you can just maybe explain to people how it works from your side.
But do you mean rather like how to create a list of those people?
So kind of tweaking the copy, so how many times you have to, for example, to change the copy or the title of the email, right? How many people you have to reach, kind of how time-consuming it is. Because lots of startups I talk to, they don't realize that you have to try hundreds of times and not just 5, for example.
Yeah, so there are two things. So first thing is to make sure that you are targeting right fit companies. So you don't want to just, to schedule a lot of demos. You want to schedule demos with people that really fit into your ideal target, because otherwise you will be wasting time. So we started from manually searching for different information about our potential customers. So for example, if they raised money, how big is the company, if they have any outbound sales related position, if they use Salesforce and Google Apps, this kind of stuff. And on the way, we started automating it by creating a few different crawlers and then basically aggregating this data. You can use different techniques. Our most favorite one is not working anymore since last week. So we were using, for example, Google Spreadsheets to crawl through Google search engine. But there are a few really nice free crawling tools, such as import.io or Kimono Labs. And those two will help you basically to extract any kind of information from public domains. So you can, for example, scrape AngelList for the amount of the money they raised. You can, for example, check what kind of software product they are using websites such as BuildWith for free. So there are a lot of different ways of making sure that you are talking to right people. And then I wouldn't really care about making the perfect email from the very beginning. You have to try a few different topics to make sure which one is good. If you reach about 50–60% of an open rate, it's already a good score, and I wouldn't like optimize it further. So you can, the best way to write your email subject is to ask some kind of a question about their product or about their company, something like this, and then like just wrap up your email content around this question. So keep it simple, keep it short, a few sentences. Make sure that in every email you will have some kind of introduction, why you write to this person, why it's relevant, some kind of a social proof, so something about your customers or results, something about the benefit, so why are you writing this email, and then just one single simple call to action, so a call, a demo, or whatever you want to achieve. That's it.
And on that, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.